Hello. I realize you probably miss me. You might even be starving because you didn't have any video to eat to yesterday. So allow me to solve that problem by enlightening you about what happened in the Champions League. I have completed my watch through of the extended highlights, and I have managed to scratch out time in between me being on Rust because I am involved in Rust is this game. I'm involved in this creator tournament, not tournament, just server. It's kind of like a Minecraft server, but in Rust, a lot of big content creators are in it. I'm going to try and find XQC and kill him with a rock again or something. If you want to watch that, obviously, I'm streaming that all week, and when I'm not, I'm making these videos or watching extended highlights. But Champions League Roundup, you know it, you love it. How good is Marcus Rashford actually? Great question. Thanks for asking. First match, though, was Pafos against Olympiacos, right? We already recapped the matches on Tuesday because they were so fucking insane we needed to do our own video about them. This match was not insane, but I give Pafos a lot of credit because they were under siege. People might not understand the level difference here, but Olympiacos is actually a pretty damn good team. This is the team, of course, that Evangelos Merenakis owns. And if you know anything about him, he is probably smuggling drugs, although unconfirmed. He is definitely holding players captive. But, and this is the most important thing, he wins. His teams win. Olympiacos obviously recently won a European trophy. They're quite a decent team that very realistically could be in the last 24 of the Champions League. They'll be very disappointed they didn't win this match because for Olympiacos, this is their easiest match on the schedule. They had 69% of the ball. They out-XG'd them by a mile. But these dudes from Pafos with the poet on their club badge, they're tough. And even though they got that right, I don't remember them. 26th minute. There you go. 26th minute red card. They did not give up a goal to Olympiacos. So they great result for Pafos. They get a point up on the board in the Champions League in their first ever time in the Champions League proper. This was a wild one. Slavia Prague and Bodo Glimt. This was played in Czechia, which means Bodo Glimt is gullible here, right? They're very dangerous up in Norway. They struggle sometimes when they have to go out on the road. They are still very skillful. It's weird. But they do eventually fall apart when they're playing on the road, and then they get all of the redemption at home. So for Slavia Prague, this is a statement of intent. If they can get a win, they grabbed an early lead. This was huge. Bodo Glimt definitely was creating opportunities in this game. They got a penalty. They missed it, and then Slavia Prague took a 2-0 lead. But as you probably noticed, because you saw the final score, you know that shit didn't stick, and Bodo Glimt did score in the 78th and then the 90th minute. It was wild scenes. The second goal was an absolute banger of a goal for Bodo Glimt and set them up for what was a point that I would argue they probably deserved. It was one of those matches where it felt pretty even, but it was Slavia Prague that was scoring the goals, and then all of a sudden Bodo Glimt just grabbed a couple on the backside. Looking at the XG, obviously, it seems like Slavia Prague created a few more chances, but that wasn't my experience in watching the extended version of the highlights. So Bodo Glimt absolutely in this game. Both of these teams could probably use with some defense. If they could find some defense anywhere. Inter's revenge tour continues. Marcus Thuram bagged a brace on the other side of halftime in this match. It's a good result. Obviously, you go to Amsterdam and you come out with a win. You're not going to be super sad about that. Bayern Munich showed that there's levels to the game. Got asked about this on stream. But seriously, Chelsea, obviously an improving team. I think they found out in this match that there is still another level above them, a level that is inhabited by your Barcelonas, your PSGs, your Real Madrids, your Liverpools. Chelsea's not on that level. They showed up and looked a little bit out to sea early in the game. Obviously went down 2 goals in the first 27 minutes. Cole Palmer did get one back, but Harry Kane is still Harry Kane, even though he's not playing in England and maybe doesn't get the hype that he had before. The numbers back up the way that the game kind of looked and felt, which is Bayern Munich is a better team than Chelsea. Bayern Munich is a team that any given Sunday, right, it's the phrase from American football, any given year, Bayern Munich at the level they're at right now could take home a Champions League if a couple of bounces go their way. I'll go to PSG Atalanta first. Potential trap game. Atalanta's dangerous. PSG came into this game very, very awake. They won 4-0 with a missed penalty from Bradley Barcola in the first half. Atalanta, this is a gravy match for them. They still look good, in my opinion, to get to like the round of 16 in the Champions League. They're that kind of team that can get to that kind of point. But PSG is a team that is trying to get back-to-back Champions Leagues and is also pissed that they lost the Club World Cup final. Liverpool and Atletico Madrid was the final match on Wednesday. I'm assuming if you watched a match, it was probably this one, so you know. Liverpool flew out to a 2-goal lead. Atletico Madrid battled back with serious haram ball, tied it at 2, before Big Verge took care of business, and then Simeone got sent off just because he was upset. I made a whole video about the Simeone getting sent off situation, so don't need to dive into that again. My favorite result of this entire round, though, Club Brugge, an absolute nightmare for everybody. A Belgian team smoking a good French team by 3 goals. Monaco is definitely a solid team. They have bounced back very well. They are an effective team. They're happy to be back in the Champions League. And Club Brugge, like, I don't know how good they are, right? But I'm talking 3-0 at halftime. The previous round, I need to pull up the previous round. Okay, the previous round for Club Brugge, they put down a pretty serious beatdown on Rangers, like 9-1. And I think everybody, including me, assumed that this was just Rangers really just gagging, right? They just choked massively. They failed to deliver. They did not perform well at all. What we didn't consider is that Club Brugge might legitimately be that much better than Rangers, because this is the type of result that you would get if you are that much better than Rangers, right? You come home against Monaco, a team that is objectively better than Rangers. You beat them 4-1, and you're like, all right. How good is Club Brugge actually, right? Because this was also not a fluke. They outshot them 26-13. They more than doubled their XG, and Monaco missed a penalty in the first 10 minutes of this game. Obviously, the match might have been different if that had gone in, but the XG there is affected by the penalty. It's like half their XG for the entire match came from the pen, and Club Brugge was just cooking absolutely everything after that. It's kind of nuts, right? And it's my favorite result because the question is now, what's their level? Where is Club Brugge and the way they've been able to put this team together, this group of lads, right? What's their level? What are they going to be able to do? Because they have a few names on this team that, I'll be honest, are like Football Manager, wonder kid type guys. There is quality on this team. They've got experience. I mean, guys like Mignolet, when was the last time you heard his name right? He's in goal. He's somebody that has played at a high level, and actually his match rating is by far the lowest here. Is Club Brugge a team that could make a miraculous quarters semifinal run? I mean, they made a decent run in Europe last year. Could they actually go farther? Right now, they are playing well enough to do just that. Amazing match between Copenhagen and Bayer Leverkusen. This match was so fun. Copenhagen was at home, jumped out to what was a 2-0 lead, or I thought it was a 2-0 lead. They must have bricked a couple of chances. There was only one team in this match in the first half. It was Copenhagen. They were the only team that showed up. I don't know where Leverkusen was in the first half. Copenhagen should have been up by more than 1 goal. They scored early. The atmosphere in that stadium, I've actually been to that stadium, is freaking fantastic. It was amazing. Leverkusen then wakes up. Grimaldo scores an absolutely redonkulous free kick. This is after Copenhagen should have scored. Again, they should have scored. There was great goalkeeping going on in this match in both directions. Very, very impressed with both goalkeepers. I don't know why Katarski was only on a 6.7. Couple of tight angle, 1v1s that these guys were able to deal with really effectively. Grimaldo with an all-time free kick, just right in the top corner. Copenhagen responds almost immediately with a goal. And then in the 91st minute, just an absolute chaos engine goal to give Bayer Leverkusen the draw. After which, Copenhagen had a massive chance and bricked it. Copenhagen should have taken all 3 points. That would have been a gravy 3 points for Copenhagen, but they played well enough to make me believe that they are a real contender for a top 24 finish in the standings. Obviously, they could even go... I don't think they're going to go top 8. They probably would have needed to win this match if they were going to be one of the surprise top 8 teams to get that first round bye. But Copenhagen has been iffy the last year or two ever since they got Champions League round of 16 2 years ago. They've been kind of off. This was the first time they really felt on since then, and at that level they'd been at for Bayer Leverkusen. Hopefully, for their sake, just a blip in the road. Interesting match between Frankfurt and Galatasaray. Galatasaray had the lead and then all of a sudden was behind. They had the lead in the 36th minute, and then they were down 3-1 at halftime. So this got away from them quick. I remember looking at the score and going, oh, Galatasaray might pull the upset. And then Eintracht Frankfurt just sprinted away from them at full speed. I don't know what's going on with Turkish teams. They seem to be underperforming in Europe consistently. Eintracht Frankfurt, not a regular Champions League team, even though they've become a European regular recently. So they've got to be very excited with that result. Manchester City dodges a trap game at home against Napoli, thanks to a 21st minute red card that just opens things up. Eventually, Man City just keeps leaning on them. You get Erling Haaland and Jeremy Doku, I assume, playing against a fullback that is over the age of 30, able to find a goal as well. Just complete normal run-of-the-mill dominance from Manchester City. And then we had Sporting against Kairat Almaty. We had a Kazakh team in the Champions League group stage going all the way to Portugal. This is a match that Sporting should be winning. It took them until past an hour to actually be able to stretch their advantage. Kairat Almaty did get their first Champions League proper goal, so that's really exciting for them. But this is a result Sporting needed to get. If they didn't get it, they would have been in trouble. And then there was Newcastle against Barcelona. You needed Marcus Rashford to break this open in the 58th minute, scored his banger in the 67th. I made a whole video about how I feel like Rashford's back. That might be in danger, apparently, because Rashford showed up late to training. Hopefully his car just broke down, but maybe he really has just mentally disconnected from what it takes to be consistently great. I don't know. Anthony Gordon's goal was late. Newcastle was in this game, but Barcelona looked better throughout. This is a very difficult match for Newcastle. I think Newcastle has every hope of getting to the round of 16, maybe even a quarterfinal still. You got to remember Barcelona and PSG, in my opinion, the two best teams in the world right now. So, losing, especially with a late consolation goal, losing 2-1 at home. There's not a lot of shame in that for a team that's only in its second Champions League really ever. And they actually won the XG battle, so I'll give them credit there. Fun to have 3 days of Champions League, though. That was awesome. I don't know if we're going to keep getting that in the future or when Europa League and Conference League kind of kick up, but I really enjoyed the entire Champions League setup. The lack of groups is still weird and hard to get used to, but we'll take it.